All right. Good morning. We're on a different we are on a different streaming service this morning. Is there black bars on the right side of the screen? There are. And do you guys see those black bars on the right side? Let's see if I can fix that. No audio? Can't hear me? No? All right, well, obviously you can hear me. All right. Yeah, I'm testing out Streamlabs because OBS is... All right, looks normal. All right. Yeah, I'm testing out Streamlabs because OBS just does not work on I think maybe the M1 or the M2 chip. I don't know. Some reason OBS has stopped working, which is a little strange. So, whatever. Fuck it. We'll do it live. Good morning, everyone. How we doing? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another day. Welcome back to the live stream. We are here again. Screen is smaller. Yeah, something's a little bit weird. I'll try to figure out all the details about what's going on with this. It looks like it's a little bit different, but hey, it's all right. You're not here to see my face. So, yeah, OBS, I don't know, something going on with it. I can't open it on my new MacBook. I can't open it with the M2 chip. I think maybe there is some problems with that. So I've been looking around. It looks like a lot of people are having the same problem. So we do what we have to. So we're on Streamlabs now, which I think if you pay for Streamlabs, you can actually like stream to different services at the same time. So like I could stream to Instagram or like Facebook at the same time. Maybe I'll look to see if I can take advantage of that. So welcome back, guys. Another beautiful day here. Hopefully you guys did all right yesterday. Yesterday, really nothing was there. If the audio is low, put your volume up, because my volume is all the way up. So put your volume up. if the audio is low for you. So yeah, nothing really yesterday, right? Nothing really yesterday. I mean, pretty choppy, a little bit of upside, a little bit of downside. There was some small opportunities here and there. Tesla was sort of doing its own thing as it usually does. So a little bit of opportunity there on Tesla. But besides that, man, it was, the Google 130 hold was nice. We talked about that. The AMD 111 hold was all right. So there was some decent plays, but overall, when I looked back at the day, I got out of here, pretty early, around 11 o'clock. I looked back at the day around, 1, 2 o'clock, and it was just, there was nothing there. So there's a real reason for it, right? The ES and NASDAQ are sitting in between a pretty tight channel. And this is the time, guys, right? This is the time where you want to wait for the market to show its card, right? It's like hitting on a, it's like hitting on a 14 when the dealer's showing a 4, right? Don't hit on the 14. Let the dealer, right? Let the dealer hit. So this is sort of that time. This is sort of how I imagine this time. If I could put it into some type of analogy there. You want to wait for the market to really show its card. You don't want to be the one hitting here. You want to let the market hit and then see, what is the reaction outside of this little range that we're trading in. I think that's the move right now, right? And if you do take intraday trades, which there's nothing wrong with that, make them small, take profits, right? Don't hope for big moves. If you're going to trade intraday today, take it with smaller size, take it with the idea that we're in a range and that I can maybe scalp a few points here, but that's about it, right? That's about it. Something is in my eye, man, and it will not get out. I think it's an eyelash. So yeah, that's sort of the idea right now, in my opinion. So let's jump right into it. Let's go ahead and jump into the futures. I don't have a schedule again today because I was playing with Streamlabs again this morning, so I've been having some technical difficulties on my side, but we can get through everything that we need to get through as usual. I'm not concerned about that. So first things first, let's go to, I love blackjack, man. I love blackjack. If you guys need some blackjack lessons, come on over. Hit up the casino with me. I'm a good time at the casino. All right, let's go to the economic calendar. Let's pull that up. And then we'll go earnings calendar, and then let's just jump right into it today, guys. So here's the economic calendar. You guys can see Tuesday, November 7th, 8:30, trade deficit. I don't really expect much there, right? I don't expect much there. Vice Chair Barr speaking at 9:15. Governor Waller speaking at 10. Consumer credit at 3. So nothing really, right? Nothing too big, nothing too important, I don't think. We'll see if there's any movement here at 8:30. We'll see if there's any movement before open here when Barr starts to speak, or right when Waller speaks at 10. But I don't expect too much there. Tomorrow, Powell speaking at 9:15, 15 minutes before open. So that's sort of interesting, right? That's a little bit interesting. We'll see if there's anything there tomorrow. Jobless claims Thursday, and that's about it. So really not much on the economic side this week, which is decent, right? Which is decent. I don't mind, not any major economic data. That's never a bad thing in my eyes. Let's go to the earnings calendar. I didn't even check who reported earnings yesterday. I think you got some small names reporting earnings this week. Yeah, the screen looks smaller, right? It doesn't look the same. It just doesn't look the same. So yeah, bear with me here today, guys. I'm still working through. I don't know why OBS does not work on this MacBook. It's just it's a pain in the ass, but bear with me. So you guys can see here, this is the earnings calendar. Today, actually, Uber reported earnings this morning. I'm actually interested to see what happened there. Celsius reported really good. Very good earnings on Celsius this morning. It's not 1080p. Yeah, I don't know. I got to go through the settings. Tomorrow I'll try to. Oh, we don't have a stream tomorrow, but I'll try to make it better here, guys. But I think it'll be okay, right? I think it'll be okay for what we need to get through. Maybe try to pick and see what the highest resolution it is for you guys on YouTube. Go to the resolution option and see what the highest is for you. Pick the highest. So Upstart tonight after hours. Upstart Roblox. We have Roblox. Oh man, it's just funny. I don't know why. I think maybe because I watch too much Jinxie, and he always tells people to go play Roblox if they suck at level 6. Level 6, if they suck at Rainbow 6. Roblox there, Walt Disney, Twilio, Affirm, right? It's all these small boys, right? All these small, it looks like a Russell type week. It's like everything on here is Russell, all right? All Russell names. You got Upstart Russell, Roblox Russell, AMC Russell, right? Unity Russell, all these Russell stocks. So maybe some moves over there on the Russell because of some of these earnings, but nothing I'm really interested in here, guys. Nothing that I'm really interested in here. What did Uber do? It missed. It's pretty much the same spot it was. Yeah, I'll try to figure out the resolution here, guys. Sometime, tomorrow. I'll make sure that for the next stream we'll have it all correct. But I'm sort of just trying to get a stream out for you guys today more than anything. I'll have to go through and figure out the resolutions and try to get you the right one for the next stream. So, all right, let's jump right into it. So let's go to the NASDAQ futures. The NASDAQ futures. I'll zoom in real close for you guys. For anyone that's it's sort of small, I'll make sure to zoom in here today. So the NASDAQ. What did it do yesterday? Right? What did it do yesterday? The NASDAQ went right into that 15,140, that 50 SMA demand, right? And that ES went right into that 4360, 4370, right? 4360, 4370, right? It went right into that demand that we talked about. We talked about those demands. We talked about, hey, let's be careful before shorting into those levels, right? We want to be careful shorting into the ES 4360, 4370. We want to make sure we're aware that there were previous demands at that level. And that is exactly what happened yesterday, right? You got some downside. You probably got some eager shorts, right? Getting short way too early, and they sort of get squeezed, right? Same thing with the longs, right? Longs sort of pushing into that 50 SMA, longs towards 4,400. You got some downside, right? Came down, held that demand, pushed back up. That's pretty much the entire day yesterday, right? All we did yesterday was drop off the 50 into demand. All right, get Purdon out of here. Get him out, please. Thank you. I don't have time for that. So drop, right? 4370, 4360, right? You pushed back up into it. You pulled back down, and you're holding that 4370 again today. So it's the same thing, right? Today is the same thing. All you're looking at is, does 4370 to 4360 hold, right? That's it, right? And you don't short until that breaks, right? That's the game plan. That was the same game plan yesterday, and that is the same game plan today. I will not short this market if the ES is above 4370, 4360. That's really the key in my eyes today, right? And that was the key yesterday. And I think that's the key on the NASDAQ as well. So if we go to the NASDAQ, you can see the NASDAQ moved down into that pivot high, held that demand, 15,140, right? Came back up, and we're pushing back into supply today, right? 15,250. So do we long into 15,250, yesterday's highs? Absolutely not, right? Do we short into yesterday's lows, 15,140? Probably not, right? If you're trading here, you're not entering shorts. If you're trading here, where we're trading right now, you're not entering longs. Why? Because this is probably, right, the likely scenario here is possibly that we just trade in a channel, right? We could just trade in this channel. So what do we look for? What do we wait for today? We wait for the dealer to show their hand. We wait for the NASDAQ to break above yesterday's highs, right? We wait for us to break and hold above 15,250 if we're interested in trading long side, right? We want to wait for that previous day high to hold as a new support. Until then, you are simply longing into a rejection point that happened yesterday. What's the reason? What's the reason that we would be longing into a previous day high? There's no reason for that. So we want to wait for that break in that hold, the 15,250 for that upside today. That's what I'll be looking for. You got the 100 SMA above to be cautious of, and then you got the 15.4 up above. That dotted line that's running across your screen, right? That is the 4-hour trend. That's another reason why you're not longing into yesterday's highs, right? So at this point, right, it makes no sense to be entering longs when you're pushing into yesterday's highs and you're pushing right into that 4-hour downtrend on the NASDAQ futures. That is going to be the big level, the big area to continue to monitor today, to be cautious of, right? To be cautious of. So 15,250, watch that rejection. Watch the rejection that's coming in now, right? 4-hour downtrend, 15,250 supply, right? That's your level today, okay? If you can get above, then look for that push towards the 100 SMA, which is up there at 15,313, right? If you get a rejection, right, you're coming back down to the 15,140, okay? Pretty easy, right? Very clear levels, very clear channel. Wait for the market. You know, honestly, if you didn't like yesterday's action, if you said to yourself, hey, maybe I didn't really need to trade yesterday, it's possibly the same thing today, guys, right? You could just get a rejection here. You could move down, you could just stay within this channel, right? You could just stay within this channel. Guys, if you can't see the stream, just get out, okay? Get out. I'm not going to stop for you. If you can't see the stream, if the numbers are blurry, tomorrow, maybe Thursday's a better day for you to be here. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm trying to stream for you. I could just shut down the stream. I could just shut it down. And I could go sip my coffee, sit on the couch, enjoy some morning news, maybe watch a little bit of Sports Center, watch some YouTube videos. I could be doing that. Maybe I'll do that. That's something I could be doing right now. It sounds pretty good. So if you can't see, if the resolution's low, I'm trying out a new streaming service because OBS does not work right now on the new Mac M2 chip. So I am using a new streaming service. And if you can't see, maybe Thursday's a better day. And maybe I'll just shut down the stream. Not a bad idea. I don't mind that. I don't mind it. Right? Or you could just go on your own charts, right? You could pull up your own charts and you could, look at the levels with me, right? You could do that too. All right, so 15,250, 15,140, 4-hour downtrend. It's all right here. It's very clear, right? We can clearly see the levels. Watch this supply. Watch this demand. Watch that 4-hour trend. That's that. QQQ. All right, so QQQ. What was the high yesterday, right? 370, right? 370. That was your high yesterday. That's going to be your very important high today as well, right? 370, 370. Also, right, you can see that 4-hour downtrend, right? 4-hour down. I'm shutting down the. All right, so the chat is gone for me. I'm just gonna focus in. I'm gonna do my thing. For those that just want to listen and enjoy, this is your time. So chat is down. I'm focusing on the stream. So 370. You guys can see right here, 370 supply. That's the big level, right? We want to be paying attention to that 370 supply. Now, where is that dotted line? That dotted line is our 4-hour downtrend, right? So that's big. That's major, right? We want to be careful there. Anyone that longed here lost money. 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 So if we go back to the 30-minute chart, right? 30-minute chart, we can see there is definitely some inability. I think that's a word. I'm not sure if that's a word. I think it is. Inability to break above that 4-hour downtrend, to break above that 370 supply. So that's very important, right? We have to be paying attention to that 370 supply. That is going to be the major level today. So we have to look to see, do we get a break and hold above, or does the rejection stay in? And if the rejection stay in, then you do not want to be longing into that 370, right? You do not want to be longing into that 370 level. You want to be cautious. You can see yesterday we rejected that 370 level. If we push back into it today, you want to be a little bit cautious of that 370 rejection again. So get careful up here at that 370 on the longs. Now, if you get a pullback, right, if we get a pullback today off this 370, here are the levels that held yesterday and the levels that we should be watching today. So you can see right here, we were sort of holding this 368 all morning. We're holding it here in the pre-market as well. So that's very important, 368. 368 on the QQQ. Now, on that drop intraday, where did we come down into? We came down into that 367 and that previous pivot around 367 from Friday. That is also right at that 100 SMA, right? So anywhere, I think, right, this is how I would personally draw this, but I wanted to make sure I gave you guys an idea of the levels there. I would not want to be short anywhere between 368 and 367, right? That is definitely an area that I do not want to be short. I think that buyers are defending this zone pretty aggressively, right? We can see the defense here. We can see the very quick pop back off the 100 SMA yesterday. We could see the defense here in the pre-market as well. So I'm not going to want to hold shorts in this green zone because I know, just looking at the last few days of price action, there has been some strong buying stepping up there. I am not going to want to mess with those buyers, right? I don't want to be on the other side of that, right? I don't want to be sweaty trying to short through this demand zone. All right, so that's very important. 368, 367, that's an important zone that I would be paying attention to. If we continue to hold that zone, I'm thinking the path of least resistance is a breakout, right? If we continue to hold this zone, then I'm going to assume that we at least attempt a 370 breakout, right? Which maybe is a fake out, right? Maybe it's a little fake out, but I'm going to assume the longer you maintain this 368, 367, then I'm going to assume that the QQQ tries higher, which it looks like it's trying this morning. So really, guys, it's a pretty tight range, right? We can see how tight this range is today. 370 to around 368. It's about a 2-point range, which is pretty much all that we did yesterday. As I said earlier on the beginning of the stream, it might be better just to wait for the dealer to show its cards, right? I don't really like trading in this 2-point range. If you're going to trade in it, you better be on the right side of supply and demand, and you better be a quick profit taker, right? If you're going to try to short the 370 supply today, take a scalp, take profits, right? If you're going to try to long the 368 demand, take a scalp, take profits, right? You have to understand that you're still in a channel. So that's the way you're going to have to trade if you're going to want to trade in this tight channel, this 2-point range on the QQQ. So 370, 368. If you get under yesterday's lows at 367, then maybe you can get some downside. That is the same thing on the NASDAQ, right? If you can break under yesterday's lows, then I think the downside could make sense. Right, if you can get an actual break and hold under yesterday's lows, that is where I think you could get potentially some downside action. You just then have to be a little bit cautious of that 50 SMA, right? But I think a break and hold under yesterday's lows would be a key little flip of momentum there, right? A key flip of momentum off that 15,140 level, right? So that's the key there, yesterday's lows. All right, back to the ES. So the ES is doing nothing bearish, right? It's doing nothing bearish yet. It is still maintaining that level we talked about, that 4360, 4370. This is a big level that it's holding. I believe that if you want to look short, you want us to get under 60 and you would short into the 200 SMA. That's about the only short that I would feel comfortable with at this point, right? You can look to short the supply rejections up near the 4390, 4400, but right, you have to understand that you are shorting back into a demand, right? A demand that held here on Friday, a demand that held very nicely yesterday, and a demand that is continuing to hold here in the pre-market. So if you are looking to short today, I would personally want us under 60, right? I'd want us under 60. I'd want us rejecting that level, and I'd want us to I looked at the chat for 1 second and I got, bro, you said 366 was demand yesterday. Now you said it's 367. Hey, man, did you know that the stock market moves on a daily basis? Were you aware of that? Right? why would I say it's 367 now, right? Why would I say it's 367 now? Well, hey, news alert. Look at what happened yesterday, right? Look at what happened yesterday on the market. You moved into 367. Look at the price action that you had at 367, right? And look at the demand that stepped up at that level, right? Right here, 367, 367, double bottom. So what am I going to do? Am I going to ignore that because I said it was 366 yesterday? Or am I going to adjust my charts, which gives me the best ability to make money on an intraday basis? Come on, guys. Jeez. I mean, jeez. All right, ES. So, 4360, 4370, all right? That's the level today, right? That's the level today, 4360, 4370. That's the key level below. Watch that level. And then, of course, you're watching the 4390s, 4400 supplies, right? News alert. Bro. So, SPY, right? Look at SPY. So we can see it's really like this 433.50 SMA area, right? 433.50 SMA area. You can see right here, previous lows, right? 433, 433, and you're coming down into 433, right? So that's really the level that you want to be careful of, right? That's the level that we want to be careful of. If we move lower into 433, right, we want to be careful of entering shorts because you can see we held there on Friday. We held there on yesterday, Monday. I'm not in a good mood today because I don't like when people come here for free and feel a level of entitlement. Okay, that's what I do not like. That really gets me upset. So I'm sorry if I'm a little upset today. I don't like the level of entitlement when you come here for free, right? You have a level of entitlement if I'm in the Discord with you because you're, it's something that I have promised to you to provide, right? It's something that I stand by and that I will commit to and will provide the assistance that you need. But when you come here for free and you have a level of entitlement, I think it's BS. So downside, right? 433. You guys can see right here, 433. Hold. That's the level that I would be watching today, right? That's the 50 SMA, right? That's 433. That's the area to watch today on the downside. If you come below that level, right? If you get below 433, if you get below that 433 level, that's where I would look for the downside, right? That's where I would look for the downside into 431, okay? Because if you get under that 433 level, that's where you have this straight up move on the market, right? That's where you have this straight up move on the market between 431 and 433, right? See what happened here between this 431, 433? Pretty much a vertical move to the upside in the pre-market, right? In the pre-market. So if you get below that level, that's where I would look for the rejection and the downside continuation, right? That's where I would look for that. So until that happens, I'm not too fond of shorting this SPY, right? Until that happens, I am not too fond of shorting the SPY if we're above the 433 level, okay? So pay attention to that level today. I think that's very key. And then, of course, to the upside, you're watching like this 436, right? You can see the supply at 436, supply at 436. So no longs if we're at 436 and no shorts if we're at 433. You're playing the channel, right? Supply rejections of yesterday's highs, demand holds at 433. If you get the breaks, right? If you get the breaks and you get the holds, that's where the things can change, right? That's when the dealer is showing you its cards, right? If the dealer shows you, right, that we're going to break under 433, we're going to reject 433, and we're starting to see some weakness, that's where we can get that sort of aggressive downside that I would want to be taking advantage of, right? That's the key. So those are my SPY levels today, right? 433, 436. It's about a 3-point range, and I would be very cautious, guys, right? If you got chopped up yesterday, it's not going to be any different, right? It's not going to be different just because it's a new day, right? If you got chopped up yesterday in this 3-point range on the SPY, it's probably going to do the same thing, right? Because you are still between the exact same range. So 436 to 433, be careful of that chop. Don't get, don't take a million trades in here. Take one trade here if you like the supply, right? If you're seeing demand at 433, take your shot. One trade there, see if it works. If not, right, accept you're wrong, take your loss. But don't be, SPX calls here, SPX calls there, SPX puts here, calls, puts, right? That's where you get crushed. When you're just intraday trading all day within this 3-point range, that is a tough spot to be. That's something I would try to avoid, okay? Hopefully that makes sense, guys. I'm going to get on a better mood here. I apologize for the morning spiel, but hey, hey, we need one of those every once in a while. Trust me, I'm not upset. I think it's fun. I enjoy it, man. But hey, I'm sorry for any of those people that I upset or anything like that. I'll lock it in. I'm bringing it in. I'll bring it back in. Real quick, just to go over the Q levels, SPY levels, ES NASDAQ. Here we go again, just real quick. 370 QQQ supply, 368 demand, and of course we have to watch yesterday's lows at 367, right? That's number one, right? Back to the SPY, right? We can see the channel, 436, 433, $3 range, be careful of the chop, okay? ES, if we go to the ES, I would not want to short if the ES is above 43.60, and I would not want to get too aggressive long if we're below the 43.95, 4400. Okay, very clear channel there. NASDAQ, last one we're going to go over real quick. We can clearly see the 15,250 supply. We can clearly see the 4-hour downtrend. That's yesterday's highs. We do not want to be too aggressively long if we're under yesterday's highs, right? If we break and hold above, then that's different. Now, if you get downside, right, you want to be careful shorting into yesterday's lows, which is 15,140, okay? Overall, what does all of this mean? All this means in a grand scheme of things is that we are in a channel and you want to wait for the channel to break if you want the best trading opportunities. Until that channel breaks, you play the supply highs and the demand lows and you have a plan, right? You have a plan, you know where your stop is, and you accept if you're incorrect. All right? Let's go to Tesla. All right, Tesla is probably one of my top watches today because Tesla is providing a very interesting opportunity, right? Why is that? Look what Tesla did yesterday. Tesla, clear as day, tried to hold the 200, right? Tried to hold the 219 demand from Friday. It failed, right? It got below. It got below under that 219. Now, what did it do when it came back up? Right, it came back down to this demand, which was very nice, right? The 215 demand, it bounced off of it. And when it came back up into that 219, right, it rejected it and the 200 SMA. It rejected the 200 SMA and it rejected the 219 supply. So that is very clear today, right? If Tesla is to pop higher today, right, I might even move this to 220 now because that is a little bit more interesting actually because I'm gonna protect myself and I'm gonna move that up to 220. See, this is where you adjust levels, right? You have to adjust the levels that are on your charts, guys. Levels are not static lines, right? They move, right? You read information, you read price action, you get more data, and you adjust your levels. All right, so I think anywhere between 219 and this 220, right? I think anywhere between there is potential supply today, right? You have the previous lows here. You have the highs here at the 200. You have the previous hold, potential hold, or the attempt of a hold at 220 as well. So if I'm going to look for this today, right, I'm going to look to see, hey, if we push into this area, am I going to see some rejection step in, right? Am I going to see some rejection step in? Am I going to see us, break, retest the red zone, and if I start to see rejections here, can I get a little slide, right? Can I get a slide into 214, 215? That's going to be one of my top watches today, right? If Tesla gets back over 220, then this trade is invalidated, right? If Tesla gets above 220, reclaims the 200 SMA, then that's possibly a new long opportunity, right? And it would trap any short that got in yesterday. That's possible. right? That is possible, and you have to stay open to that idea. So today, all eyes for me on this 219, 220 zone on Tesla. If I start to see some rejection step in, right, at this 200 SMA, at this red zone between 219, 220, if I start to see some weak action here, I'm going to look for that potential short play, right? One of those fade moves. That's something I'll be looking for. Especially, yeah, like Joe said, Tesla has been a very weak stock this week. But you do need to be aware, guys, right? If you do take that trade, you cannot, right? Here's the problem where this is where people get in trouble, right? This is where traders get in a lot of trouble and lose a lot more money than they were originally planning. Let's say you take a short here on Tesla, right? You start to see the supply stepping in. You're like, hey, I'm going to try it, right? I like the idea. It's a good risk reward. I'll put my stop over 220, and I see a little double top here. I'm going to take a short, right? So you take your short, which is a very valid short. I would not think that, I wouldn't say that that's an invalid trade, right? I think it's a valid idea. But let's say, NASDAQ rips, Tesla starts to reverse, and Tesla gets over 220, right? And you don't stop out. And you just sort of say, hey, I'll let this go a little bit. Above 220, Tesla will likely rip, right? Because you are going to have a lot of shorts that are sort of piled in here from yesterday looking for that downside, right? Maybe even more shorts that piled in the morning that get squeezed out. And when Tesla gets on a little squeeze, right, it can be really painful. So this is where if you have a trade plan, let's say you want to trade the 219, 220 rejection today, if it goes against you, you cannot just sit and say, okay, I'm going to let it go. I'll see what happens, right? I'll see if Tesla comes back. No, right? You got to stick to that plan. If you get over 220 on Tesla, I would want to be out of that short, right? Because you're getting back above a key level and back above that 200 SMA. All right? NVIDIA, what a beast. What level did we talk about yesterday? Right, the 449, 450. We had this level marked out, and man, did it come back down into it beautifully yesterday. I think I actually have it right here. Yeah, we talked about this in the live stream yesterday. Pull back to 450 for new long entries, right? That was what we were talking about in the live stream yesterday. Pull back to 450 for new long entries. And yesterday, you pulled back to 450, and it sure as hell was a long entry. So that 450 level is going to be the level to watch here. Between 450 and 460 is really that area that I would be watching on NVIDIA. 462 is this little 1 hour high right here. So if you guys go to the hourly chart, you can see this right here. So 462 is this little high right here on NVIDIA. That's really that supply high. But if we go back down to the 15-minute chart, we can see, as of now, it looks to me just like a little 10-point range, right, on NVIDIA. That's about a 10-point range that I would be playing the levels, right? I'd still be playing the levels. Now, I would be, right, after seeing this 450 hold yesterday, I would be a little bit less interested in the short side, right? Because, yeah, you might be able to catch a little 460 scalp, a little 460 supply, right? You might be able to catch a little 460 supply, a little bit of a downside move. But we can see from just the overall action over the last few days and even yesterday, there's definitely a tendency to want to hold up here on NVIDIA. That's at least what it seems like. So is the downside going to be that juicy if you're above 450? Right? That would be a really quick short idea if you're going to play that. Where would I rather get short on NVIDIA? I think at this point, you want to see a break under 450. That's where things could get more juicy, in my opinion, right? If you can get a short under yesterday's lows, that's a little bit more confidence inspiring for like an actual downside move, because that would, put all the longs here underwater. The low of day is very much a key level, an inflection point, a pivot point. So if you do get that break and hold under yesterday's lows, then yeah, I'd probably hit some puts there. Until that happens, though, you are fighting the downside in a pretty strong uptrend and a pretty solid hold at 450, right? I don't know if I'm that interested in playing that rejection up there today, right? The rejections haven't quite worked that well over the last few trading days at the supply high. So just using past analysis, past price action to sort of judge my, intraday plan. That's all, right? That's all. Just whatever I've seen in the past is what I'm going to look for again, right? See this supply rejection, not bad, but not great, right? This supply rejection, not bad, right? Opportunity, but nothing major, right? Here again yesterday, little supply rejection. You definitely can make some money off of it, but is it the actual, larger trend move? It's not. So if you're going to try that short on NVIDIA, you cannot have like hey, I'm going to short NVIDIA off 460 and it's going to go to 420, right? That can't be your idea. It doesn't make sense. It's not logical for that idea. If you're going to short that 460, right, then you're going to look for maybe a little scalp, right? Little scalp, little play, take some profits. That's all that can be for now. ZZ, gotta tune in for my daily break and retest and gotta have a plan. Thanks, ZZ. Thank you, man. Appreciate that donation. Appreciate you coming to the live stream. So 460, 462 supply, 450 demand. I would say wait for one of these sides to hit today, guys. Wait for one of these sides to hit, right? If you were waited for one of those sides to hit yesterday, you had a nice little late day long. I would say wait for one of these sides to hit again. 460, 450 on NVIDIA. AMD. Mon, thank you for everything you do. It doesn't go unnoticed. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much. Is that a 3? What is that 3 for? Or the 1? Is that like 3 months? 3 months, 1 month? Or first donation, 3 donations? Does it tell you what that is when you guys do that? Thank you, Mon and ZZ. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for that. Thank you for the donation. So AMD, right? What did we talk about yesterday? That AMD 111, right? And we actually longed that yesterday. We longed this 111 hold yesterday on AMD, which actually turned out to be a very nice trade. Little scalp trade off that 111 demand. Today, it's the same thing, right? Let's go to the 30-minute chart, and let's take a look at that 111 on AMD. You guys can see we rejected that 113 supply. That's very clear up there, very heavy. We came back down into this 110, 111 area. But I think it is 111. You can see the 111 hold in the morning. You can see the 111 hold that's going on right now. So if you hold 111 today, I wouldn't be opposed to that long, right? I'm not opposed to that long off 111 on AMD. If the NASDAQ is starting to push higher, if we're seeing a little bit of NASDAQ action to the upside, then I'm definitely going to look for that AMD 111 demand, right? That's definitely an area that I'll be watching. Now, here's where things get a little bit sloppy for AMD. I'm not too sure about the downside yet because you have this little pivot low from yesterday, right? Which you probably don't want to short into, right? I'm not going to short into the previous day lows. And if you really want to catch a downside, right? And if you do catch it under previous day lows, you're really shorting back into some pretty heavy previous highs here around 108, 109. So I'm not too fond of that short side still, right? I think where the short side gets interesting is under 105. I think anything over 105 is going to be sort of hard shorts to get. I think it's going to be sort of short-lived downside action. I think under 105, under this earnings little consolidation here, that's where things can get interesting to the downside. Until then, I'm not too interested in the short side here. I'm more looking to see if this 110, 111 level holds today, right? I'm interested to see if that holds today. That could be an interesting long there. If you get more downside, I'll be watching to see if this 108, 109 level, I'm actually going to move this down to the, do I want to move this down? It's really this whole zone here, right? It's anywhere between these highs. So this is where things get a little bit tricky for me because it's not that clean of an area. It's really all between these highs at 109 and these lows at 107, right? So, and you also have the 100 SMA there. So when I get that feeling of, right, and you can't fight what's on the chart, right? You can't fight it. You can't try to make a chart cleaner than it is, right? If the chart's not clean, the chart's not clean. And that's where you need to look away from a certain stop. We have seen some very clean setups, right? Some very clean charts, like for example, Tesla's very clean, right? We know, hey, right, look at these rejections, 219, 220. That's clean, right? Easy to read. But when you go to AMD, right, it's not as clean. It's more of this larger zone. So you can't fight that, right? That is what the chart is telling you. So for me, I'm really not interested in shorting anywhere, right? Anywhere above this zone, right? If anything, I'm more interested in this being a pullback and just a larger term hold of this zone and this 100 SMA, right? That's a little bit more interesting to me than trying to short into these previous highs, into these demand holds around 107, all right? So that's sort of the idea for AMD for me. I will watch that 111. I think that is an interesting level, right? At 111. Why is 111 interesting to me? Let me go ahead and zoom out for you. Let me get to the 4-hour chart. You guys should remember this. That 111 is this previous 4-hour high right here. You have this 4-hour high at 111 and 111. It's a 4-hour double top, right? So if you hold that 111, then I am interested to see if there's opportunity off that today. That is definitely something I will watch. But if you get under that level, it gets a little bit more sloppy, right, into that 100 SMA area. So let me zoom back in here, 5-minute chart. If you do break that 111 today, then I would be looking to see what happens all in here, right? This is sort of an interesting zone that you have the 100 SMA in and some previous consolidation, all right? Hopefully that makes some sense. First to watch is going to be 111 to see if there's a long off that. If not, I'm watching to see what happens down at 108, 109. All right, let's go to Apple. So Apple is interesting here, right? What did Apple do yesterday? Let's take a look at this daily chart, right? Let's look at this daily chart. Look at this daily chart on Apple. What have we talked about for the last few weeks? We talked about whether Apple is going to hold the 200 SMA and it's going to break out of this downtrend. Well, yesterday it did, right? Yesterday I could say with confidence that Apple did break outside of the downtrend, right? It broke out of the downtrend. So this is going to get interesting, right? This is going to get interesting. What I would be watching at this point, right, to actually get a long entry, in my eyes, is that Apple needs to make a higher high here. I would not want to be longing Apple just because of the trend break just yet. Because if you long here, you are longing into the 100 SMA and you are longing into a previous 4-hour pivot high, right? Look how important this pivot was here. Big pivot, right? Pushing higher, pivoting back to the downside. So if you longed Apple here on a trend break, this could be that little trend break fake out, right, that you need to be aware of here. If Apple comes up into 182, rejects this previous high here on the 4-hour, rejects the 100 SMA, that could be the little fake out that they are, that could be the trap that the market's trying to get you stuck in. So that is a trap that I don't want to be a part of. What I would wait for here is let this thing heat up, right? Let the buyers start heating up. Get this thing over that 100, get this thing over this previous high, and then hit the longs right here, right? Hit the longs over that 182, over that 100 SMA, and over this 4-hour previous high, which was part of that channel, right? That's the previous channel high there. So wouldn't it be bullish if Apple can turn this high back into a support, right? That would be the bullish thing I'm looking for. That's where I would try to, trade Apple into the next highs, maybe around 190. So interesting here on Apple though, right? Interesting start. It's an interesting thing to watch because Apple is peeking its head above that downtrend here and something I would be watching, okay? So 182, 100 SMA, and 4-hour pivot high right here, channel high. Watch that area right there. That's going to be big. All right, let's go Meta. So Meta, I don't have much for Meta for you, but I will sort of once again reiterate the 310, 320, right? That's something I'll just point out real quick. Meta is still between 310 and 320, so please be aware of that. This is nothing but a channel trade. 320 supply, 310 demand, right? That's the key. Next, Amazon. Amazon is over 140. Okay. All right. So Amazon above 140. What was yesterday's highs? 140.73. Interesting. So we do need to watch that high, right? We can't just ignore it. We do need to have a line there at 140. Let's call it 140.70. But look at this little squeeze above 140 here. That's big. So let's put this line at 140, right? That's a pretty important break above 140. If we go to the 4-hour chart, right, we have this previous high at 140. Where did this reject? Yeah, there is some sort of questionable spots there, right? There's some supply above over here around that 141, 140.70, which is where we rejected yesterday, right? So you can see right here, there is definitely some supply around this 140.70, 141 area. So I would pay attention to that. How do you play this, right? How do you play this on Amazon? There's one very easy thing that I would look for to be bullish on Amazon here. And that is just a break and hold over the previous day high, right? If you start to turn previous day highs into support, that's your confirmation, right? That's where I would be looking for that long. If you reject yesterday's highs again, right, and you fall back under 140, that's where you can maybe get that fake upside move, right? But I think as long as Amazon's over 140, I think it's going to try to hold on. But I would not now, looking at this, right, I don't want to be long into this 140.70 right here, right? 140.70, just be a little bit cautious being long into yesterday's highs, okay? What do you want to see yesterday's highs? You want to see that break and hold above, right? That's really the long that you're looking for there on Amazon. Until then, you have to be cautious of that previous day high. I would also look to see if you pull back, does 170 hold, right? If Amazon pulls back today, does 170 start to hold? I'm sorry, 140, my bad. Does 140 start to hold? That's something I'd be watching. So either previous day highs, 140.70, pull back to 140, that's the previous supply that could hold today, right? Watch that. And if you fall back under 140, that could get interesting for that downside again. All right, so 140 and yesterday's highs on Amazon. Those are the two levels I'd be watching. Google, 132, man. 132 on Google, right? Remember we talked about it, the 130 hold on Google in the live stream yesterday? We longed that thing in the chat yesterday, and that was a beautiful long. So yesterday, remember we were talking about, can Google hold 130, right? Can Google hold above the 100 SMA? Can Google turn this previous high into a new support? Well, if you go to the 2-minute chart yesterday, look at what Google did when it went down to 130. This was a gorgeous long opportunity on Google. Nailed this thing with the group, right? We sort of wicked off of it, wicked off of it, wicked off of it, continued to hold that 130, and then bam, nice demand hold at 130, nice continuation. What's the level today? It's 132, right? Look at this right here. You see this 132 over here? 132 on on Google is your big level today. If you cannot get over 132, that is where things could get a little bit aggressive to the downside, right? This is going to be a big level up here, 132 on Google. Do we hold above it or do we reject it, right? Do we hold above it or do we reject it? That's the key today on Google. 132, of course, you're going to watch the pre-market lows, right, and the previous day highs. That's very obvious. And then, of course, you're going to watch 130. Okay? What did I miss? Microsoft, the trade is over, right? If you didn't catch the long off the 352, we talked about this yesterday. That thing just ripped. That trade's sort of over in my eyes. This thing's just going straight up. Next supply is up there at 363, right? What do you look for on a move that's sort of just ripping? Just keep watching the previous day highs, guys, right? Previous day high right here, 357.50. Look what happened yesterday, right? On Microsoft. Look what we did. We squeezed. Where did we pull back to, right? Where did Microsoft pull back to yesterday and hold? It pulled back to the previous day highs and it held, right? Look how clean that is. So you squeezed over yesterday's highs. You rejected here around 357.50, pulled back, previous day highs, hold. So what are you looking for today? Squeeze higher, pull back, previous day highs, hold, right? You're looking for that same thing. Where's the best long entry today on Microsoft without just chasing everything that's going up? It's a pullback to previous day highs, right? At least if you long off previous day highs, you can say to yourself and have confidence with yourself and say, hey, I have a plan, right? I'm a man with a plan or a woman with a plan. I'm looking at previous day highs. I want to see if that holds. I know where my risk is. If we break under previous day highs, I'll jump out, right? I'm starting to see some demand step in. I have my plan. I have my stop. I have a reason for entering, right? At least you can say that to yourself if you're going to long Microsoft. Instead of just saying, oh, hey, Microsoft's higher. I'm just going to take some longs here, right? I have no idea where my stop is. Why am I even entering longs? Am I just entering long because it's going higher, right? At least have something of a plan here, guys, right? If you're going to trade a stock like Microsoft that's moving straight up. And so for me, right, the first plan that I would have is let's pull back to previous day highs and let's see if it holds, right? That's the first thing you can wait for. So that's what I would look for, all right? We did NVIDIA, we did Tesla, we did AMD, Meta, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon. I think that's about it, guys. I think that's about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. A little bit of fun, as always, right? We like to have a little bit of fun. I like to have a little bit of fun. You know, it's the nature of the game. It's the nature of the game with some of the people online, but I enjoy it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. I hope you learned something from it today. I hope you learned some of those NASDAQ ES levels to be watching today. Very key. Remember, guys, heading into today, please understand the market's in a channel, right? Market's in a channel, and we need to be aware of that, right? We cannot expect things to be, to have large moves if we are within a channel, okay? Let's see if we can break it. That's it, right? So we're still under yesterday's highs on the NASDAQ. So we're not expecting that much here. We're still under yesterday's highs on the QQQ. So we can't expect too much. Now, if we start to break above and we start to get that ES NASDAQ over previous day highs, then sure, right? Then we can look for that opportunity. But until then, right, the channel trade is the trade you need to be aware of, and you need to respect it. All right, guys? Thank you again for being here. Thank you for all the support. Press that like button if you could. There will be no live stream tomorrow, so I apologize for that. But I am going to take a day off. So, yeah, everything we talk about in this live stream, right? Apply those concepts. Apply the NASDAQ. First thing you do when you wake up tomorrow, without the live stream, at this time between 8 and 9 o'clock, get on your NASDAQ charts. Chart out your supplies, right? Get an idea of where the levels are. Get an idea of what levels I want to be long off of. Where do I want to be short off of? Get your levels set up. Get your intraday charts set up on the Tesla, NVIDIA, Apple, right? Do everything we do here, right? You can replicate this. I know it's, enjoying, it's an enjoyment to come here and sort of learn. But when, if I'm not here, right, I want to make sure you guys can do it do it yourself as well, right? I want to make sure that you guys can do it yourself as well, right? That's key. It's not, I need Desi on the live streams to do my trading, right? So make sure you can take our knowledge, apply it yourself. Tomorrow's that day. I hope you guys enjoy your day. Do well. Be safe. Be smart. And I will see you guys on Thursday. Peace out.